mom said I was being paranoid about my husband. Then I showed her the second phone bill. For 3 months, I watched Nathan turn into someone I didn't recognize. He took calls in the garage with the door closed. He'd check his phone under the table at dinner and say it was nothing when I asked. Every Saturday, he left for the gym at 8 and didn't return until past noon, but his clothes were never damp and his bag never smelled like sweat. I told myself I was imagining things, that 7 years of marriage meant something real. Then I found the phone bill. It arrived at our house by mistake, routed to our mailbox instead of wherever he'd been hiding it. A separate account in his name I knew nothing about. 3 months of statements. Hundreds of calls to the same 4 numbers, sometimes 5 or 6 times a day. I sat in my car in the driveway and felt my entire life cracking apart. I called my mom that night because I didn't know who else to call. Told her everything through tears I couldn't stop. The secret calls, the Saturday disappearances, the hidden phone bill with numbers I'd never seen. I expected her to be furious on my behalf, to tell me I deserved better. Instead, she got quiet. Honey, I think you're being paranoid. Nathan loves you. There has to be an explanation. I asked what explanation covers hundreds of secret calls. She said maybe it was work stress. Maybe he was planning a surprise. Maybe I should just let it go. My mother, who had warned me about every boyfriend before Nathan, was telling me to ignore clear evidence. I hung up feeling completely alone, but I couldn't let it go. I looked up the numbers from the bill. The first was a medical center downtown. The second was an oncology clinic. The third was a pharmacy specializing in chemotherapy drugs. The fourth was my mother's cell phone. Calls to her almost daily, sometimes 3 times a day, mixed with dozens of calls to cancer treatment centers. I thought he was having an affair with someone at the clinic, that my mom had found out and was keeping his secret from me. The betrayal I felt doubled and turned sharp. I drove to her house the next Saturday while Nathan was at the gym, showed up with the phone bill in my hand and rage in my chest. She opened the door and went pale when she saw those papers. We need to talk, I said, pushing past her, about this bill, and about why you've been lying to me. That's when I saw Nathan's jacket on her couch, his keys on her coffee table, his shoes by her front door. He walked out of the kitchen holding a glass of water and froze when he saw me standing there. It's not what you think, he said immediately. Then explain the secret phone, the hundreds of calls, why you're standing in my mother's house right now. My mom started sobbing, not defensive tears, deep shaking sobs that made her grab the back of a chair to stay upright. Nathan walked over and put his arm around her shoulders, not like a lover, like a son. I have cancer, my mom said through her tears. Diagnosed 6 months ago. Stage 3. I've been doing chemotherapy every Saturday morning. The room went completely silent except for her crying. I didn't tell you because you just lost the baby, she continued. You were barely getting out of bed, finally starting to smile again. I couldn't put this on top of everything you were already carrying. Nathan spoke quietly. I found out by accident. Saw a medical bill in her purse when I was helping with groceries. She made me promise not to tell you, but I couldn't let her go through it alone. The second phone, the Saturday trips, the hundreds of calls to oncologists and pharmacies. He'd been driving her to chemotherapy for months, sitting with her during every treatment, calling her doctors to ask questions, managing her medications, all while pretending to work out so I wouldn't know my mother was fighting cancer. The phone was so you wouldn't see medical numbers on our regular bill, he said. I knew you'd notice eventually. I looked at my mom and finally saw what I'd missed. The weight loss I'd thought was a diet, the scarves I'd assumed were fashion, the fatigue she blamed on bad sleep. It had been right in front of me for months because they'd worked so hard to hide it. I walked over and put my arms around both of them. My mom sobbed into my shoulder. Nathan held us up. The phone bill fell to the floor and no one picked it up. She's in remission now. Nathan still drives her to every checkup. I go with them. We sit in the waiting room and I hold her hand when they call her name. I almost destroyed my marriage over evidence of the 2 people who love me most, trying to protect me from more pain. The phone bill is in my nightstand drawer. I keep it to remind myself that secrets aren't always betrayals. Sometimes they're just love in a shape you don't recognize yet.